On May 31st, 2022, at the Kedarnath helipad in Uttarakhand, India, a Thummy Aviation Bell 407 came in to land. The approach was unstable. The helicopter struck the helipad hard, bounced back into the air, then turned about 270 degrees before coming down hard again. No injuries were reported. The Indian aviation regulator opened an investigation and warned pilots about possible tailwinds during approaches to Kedarnath. On June 1st, 2022, near Stellenbosch, South Africa, a Piper Cherokee Arrow was on a training flight with an instructor and a student on board. After a practice landing and takeoff, the airplane began shaking at about 300 feet. The engine lost power, and the instructor could not restore it. He landed on the R44 road. The Piper struck a road sign, hit the road, and was destroyed. The instructor was slightly injured, while the student was seriously injured. Investigators could not determine why the engine failed.
In the vehicle, looks like they just have...
On July 27, 2026, at Huntington Beach, California, a Piper Cherokee lost engine power, about 5 minutes after leaving John Wayne Airport. Pilot Mike Bremner and his 16-year-old nephew were on board. At about 1,000 feet, the engine stopped, and Mike could not restart it. He declared an emergency, turned toward the beach, and landed on an empty stretch of sand. The Piper rolled for about 100 feet, then stopped after a sharp turn. No one on the airplane or the beach was injured, and the exact cause of the engine failure has not yet been determined. On October 21st, 2025, at Cook County Airport in Adel, Georgia, a Piper Arrow arrived with its landing gear stuck up. The pilot was alone. The gear would not come down, even after several attempts. Airport manager Jerry Connell and a mechanic spoke with the pilot and advised him to land on the grass beside the runway. The pilot kept the airplane level and made a controlled belly landing. He was not injured. Airport officials believed an electrical failure caused the problem, but this was not officially confirmed. On September 21st, 2022, in Minas Gerais, Brazil, a Robinson R44 was approaching a football field. The pilot and 3 passengers were on board. As the helicopter came in to land, it struck power lines near the field, lost control, and fell into a marshy area beside a highway. Everyone survived. The pilot was seriously injured, and the 3 passengers suffered minor injuries. The crash was caused by the collision with the power lines.
Nossa Senhora.
Meu Deus do céu!
On July 2nd, 2026, near Tamara, Morocco, a turbothrush aircraft was supporting crews fighting a forest fire. The pilot was alone. At around 5:30 in the afternoon, the airplane entered a steep turn at low altitude, then lost control and crashed near the fire. The pilot did not survive. Officials have not determined why control was lost, and the video alone does not confirm that the airplane stalled. The date and location of this incident have not been confirmed. The video was published on July 28th, 2026, but the incident may have happened earlier. The helicopter is a Robinson R44 Raven 1. Cockpit footage shows it flying low over mountainous forest terrain before descending toward the trees. In the final seconds, the helicopter enters the treetops, and the recording suddenly ends. There is no verified information about the cause, the people on board, or what happened afterward. The exact date and location of this flight have not been confirmed. The footage shows a single-engine light airplane approaching a short dirt runway in mountainous terrain. Strong gusts push the airplane sideways during final approach, and the pilot makes constant corrections while descending toward the narrow, uneven strip. The recording ends just before touchdown. According to the uploader, the airplane landed safely, with no accident or damage reported. On July 10th, 2022, at Sangley Point Airport in the Philippines, a Beechcraft Baron returned with a problem in its right landing gear. 2 pilots were on board. The airplane was flying to Palawan to collect a load of fish, when the crew found that the right main gear was not working properly. They turned back to Sangley Point, where emergency crews were waiting. The pilots landed on a grassy area beside the runway. Both escaped without injury, and the airplane received only minor damage. The exact cause of the landing gear failure was not confirmed. On July 17th, 2022, at a private airfield near Stanford, South Africa, a Cessna 175 took off with a pilot and 3 passengers on board. The pilot took off with a tailwind. As the airplane ran out of runway, he lifted off before reaching enough speed. The stall warning sounded, the left wing dropped, and the pilot lost control. The Cessna struck power lines, then crashed through pine trees on a nearby farm. The pilot was not injured. 1 passenger was seriously injured, and 2 suffered minor injuries. Investigators concluded that the downwind takeoff and early liftoff caused the airplane to stall. On July 23, 2022, shortly after leaving Fallbrook Airport in California, a North American T-28 Trojan lost engine power. 2 pilots were on board. The airplane was only about 200 feet above the ground. With no time to return, the pilot lowered the nose, but the aircraft came down in a plant nursery. The passenger did not survive. The pilot suffered minor injuries, and the airplane was badly damaged. Investigators found that a failed electric fuel pump and a poorly maintained carburetor part had starved the engine of fuel. On July 24th, 2022, at Whitman Regional Airport in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, a Cessna 310 made a firm landing with 2 people on board. During the landing roll, the airplane pulled to the right. The pilot steered onto the grass, struck a runway sign, and the right main landing gear collapsed. The right wing hit the ground and was badly damaged. Both people were uninjured. Investigators found no previous fault in the landing gear and concluded that the pilot lost control during the landing. On July 29th, 2022, near Goodowry, Georgia, a rescue helicopter was trying to reach 2 people after a paragliding accident. While hovering close to the mountainside, the tail rotor hit the rock. The helicopter suddenly began spinning, then dropped into the gorge and caught fire. All 8 people on board were killed: 4 crew members, 2 rescuers, and 2 medics. The final cause has not been officially confirmed, but the video shows that control was lost after the tail rotor strike. On August 23, 2022, at Joint Base McGuire in New Jersey, a Boeing KC-46 Pegasus came into land with its refueling boom still down. During a demonstration flight for 9 congressional staff members, the cable used to pull the boom back into the aircraft snapped. The crew declared an emergency and diverted to New Jersey. As the tanker touched down, the boom scraped along the runway. The pilots brought the aircraft to a safe stop, and no one was hurt. On December 4th, 2020, about 30 miles north of Okinawa, Japan Airlines Flight 904 was climbing from Naha toward Tokyo in a Boeing 777. A loud bang suddenly shook the aircraft, followed by heavy vibration. The pilots shut down the left engine, declared an emergency, and returned to Naha using only the right engine. The aircraft landed safely and no one was injured. Investigators found a hidden fatigue crack beside a manufacturing defect inside a titanium fan blade, causing 2 blades to break and parts of the engine cover to tear away.
Že každýho to vyšlo nějaký 210 korun.
On August 14th, 2022, during an air show in Cheb, Czech Republic, a Hawker Hurricane made a low pass along the runway. At the end of the pass, the pilot pulled up and turned sharply. As the aircraft came back down, the turn became tighter. The Hurricane stalled and began spinning toward the ground. The pilot tried to recover, but there was not enough height. The aircraft crashed near the airport, killing the pilot. A woman on the ground was lightly injured. Investigators found no mechanical failure. The crash was caused by a stall during the steep, low-level turn. On September 3rd, 2022, near Västerås, Sweden, a Diamond DA-42 suddenly lost its left engine. A piston inside the engine seized, and the first cylinder broke apart. Oil sprayed out within seconds, leaving the engine badly damaged and without power. The pilots shut down the engine, cut off the fuel, and turned back to Västerås Airport. They landed safely using the remaining engine, and neither pilot was injured. On June 14th, 2017, over the Catramani River in northern Brazil, a small, single-engine aircraft suffered an electrical failure during a medical flight. With dense rainforest below, the pilot reported his position and decided to land on the river. The medical technician beside him filmed the final moments, as the aircraft touched the water and quickly sank. Both men survived the landing and escaped from the aircraft. The technician was rescued, but the pilot fell from a rope during the helicopter rescue and drowned.
Okay. Okay, okay.
On September 16, 2022, at Wellesbourne Airfield in England, a preserved Avro Vulcan began a high-speed taxi run before a public display. The airspeed indicator stopped giving the crew a reading, so the engine stayed at full power for about 2 seconds too long. By the time the crew reduced power, the Vulcan was moving too fast to stop on the remaining runway. The bomber ran off the end, crossed the soft ground, and stopped just short of a nearby road. The brakes worked normally, and no one was injured.